Hi, everybody. This is Robbie from Miscellaneous Candor. We are back this week on our own schedule. Also, too, we are adding a Diddy segment. That's right. Yes, it's true. Yes, you may roll your eyes. Yes, you may smack your lips, but it's coming. There's 8 to 10 weeks to his trial. This is week 4, and every week we're going to talk about it. So, wanted to add that just to let you know. Also, soon you will see us on other platforms shortly. All right, sit back, enjoy, and listen. Here we go. Hello, hello. We are back, and here we are. Yes, yes, yes. As scheduled, miscellaneous candor, frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken. Hi, Stephen with a PH.
Hey, Robbie. Hello, friends. It is I, Stephen, with a PH, Kennedy, board certified atheist at your service. Don't make fun of me, Robbie.
I'm not.
Don't make fun of my name. It's part of who I am. It's my being.
I didn't. I just said Stephen with a PH.
Okay. I mean,
Stephen with a PH. It used to be
you
Stephen with
feel
a
that
C, but that's okay.
you feel that it's kind of well.
What? You like
Anyways,
to be
let's
opening
move on.
these doors though, and I just can't help but walk through. Like the door is just open and it's just calling me. It's like Robbie, run, run, Robbie, run.
Right. Yeah. That'd be nice if you ran the other direction once in a while.
What fun is there in that? Okay, Steven. So, what did you listen to some podcasts? I listened to a podcast. What did you listen to this week?
Well, Robbie, my friends, I listened to a podcast called Staying Alive. And I first heard about this podcast because there's two hosts. They were on, I believe it was the Seth Meyers show I think it was like a
Okay, so
month
this is like a
ago.
celebrity podcast.
Well, they're not. I wouldn't call them celebrities. They're comedians and actors, but I don't think you would know them as actors. You might not know them as comedians either. I actually didn't know them as comedians or actors either.
Wait, is this
One of the
John
guys,
Grabros and Adam Polly?
yeah,
Okay.
John Gabris and Adam Pally. Do you know them?
No, I just looked it up because I wanted to see
Okay.
what the picture looked like. That's all. That's
Yeah,
all.
so Adam Paley was on the Mindy Project, and they've been on some famous stuff, but
Okay.
I'm not familiar because I haven't watched these shows. So maybe other people are familiar with them, but their names are John Gabris and Adam Paley, and they do this podcast called Staying Alive, and it's kind of it's about the whole theme is about being healthy and different ways that people use to stay healthy, and they get different professionals, different experts in different areas of health to give their thoughts on staying healthy. And it's the way they position it is that, look, we're not experts, don't take our medical advice, but we want to share our thoughts with you. We're going to have experts come on our show and share their thoughts with you.
Mhm.
But we're not medical doctors that you should be taking advice from. So it's kind of what they're trying to do is they're trying to put a fun spin to it, right? So, there are a lot of programs that are very serious, and if it's about healthy living, they're very serious programs about healthy living.
Mhm.
And I think what they're trying to do is differentiate themselves by putting a really casual, fun spin on it, yet at the same time conveying some guidance, some advice, some knowledge to people that want to casually absorb information about how they can live a healthier lifestyle without getting too crazy serious about it, right? So it's not. I don't think it's for the health nuts that are looking to really change their life. It's about people that just the average person that wants to just casually live a healthier lifestyle if possible. And so from that perspective, I think it's it's a good take on it because I think they can reach an audience of people that that are in that demographic that don't want to get too serious about it. But if they can take some tidbits about living healthier, they'll take it. Um, However, I did feel that these guys, they sometimes their attempts to be funny is a
Mm-hmm.
bit overpowering. Like they think they're
Mm,
too funny, and that kind of
okay.
takes away from the content because they're just constantly trying to be funny. So a lot of episodes I was sitting there, I'm like, man, you guys just stop trying to be funny. You're not as funny as you think you are.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
That's interesting.
that's my thoughts. So what I
I had a question. I had a question.
yeah.
So, okay, you said they have experts. They say don't listen to them as if they're doctors, but do they have real doctors on there, or do they have
Yes, they do.
experts that are outside of the quote unquote norm? Because the only reason why I ask is I've been seeing a lot of this whole like running away from traditional medicine. Like doctors are
Mhm.
not telling us not the right thing. So
Yeah,
here's this expert, and this is what they do. And they used to be a doctor, or they used to be in this, and they're
yeah.
saying, like there's a lot of that kind of conversation out there. Particularly, I wouldn't say like there's part of the Maha movement that I totally get down with, like particularly with
Mhm.
the food that I should not be eating. Like I just had some gummy
Mhm.
nerd clusters that were very berry today that I shouldn't have eaten.
And we all know that you're a RFK fan, so yeah.
No, you're an
And
RFK fan.
silence right
You
there.
are an RFK fan. No, my point is that I should not have been eating this because it has all this bad stuff in it.
Yeah,
But and so I'm totally down with like getting all of the bad stuff off the
yeah,
shelves and all of that, right? Like
yeah.
that, but there are some. What I don't agree with is I feel like there are things that are good about modern medicine because we've come so far, and we
Mhm.
shouldn't totally abandon it by going the opposite way because there's things that are good too that
Yeah,
are
of
not
course.
modern medicine and that you can combine both,
Yeah.
right? So that but that's
Mhm.
my perspective, and so I feel like that's a little bit more in the center.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I am. But I don't know. But that's why I'm wondering, are they real experts? Are they
They
non-traditional experts? That's the word.
they have a combination. They have both. They have
Well,
real experts, but then they also have guests on, sometimes celebrities,
mhm.
that just share their experiences.
Oh, okay.
So
I
it's a
might check that one
combination of
out.
things.
Yeah, because I
Like I said, it's a very casual show, and they're
mhm.
trying to just share thoughts, ideas of how people can be healthier, and it's not really a serious health medical program.
So do you feel like the information that you got there made you wanna be more healthy?
Me personally, no, just because, and this is what I was talking about. I couldn't get over their attempts to be funny were just too overpowering. You got two comedians that think they're super funny, and it really was kind of eating up the show. In all their episodes. So it's kind of, for me personally, I found it annoying. Other people might find it entertaining and think they're really funny. So it just depends on your humor type, I guess.
You really didn't like it.
I just think I just think think of I just think they should be more thoughtful of what do our listeners care about? What are our listeners here for? What do they want to hear? Do they
Mhm.
want to constantly hear us being Robbie?
I'm here. I'm right
Also,
here. Hello?
yeah. Do they want to? Does our audience want to hear us constantly trying to be funny and overpowering the whole theme of the show, or will they actually like to, you know, learn?
Hmm.
And
Okay.
like I said, it's a casual thing. A little funny's good,
Mhm.
pepper it in, but just it's too much comedy is just kind of annoying.
So you felt like they as my daughter tells me, and, I even know I can be, and other people have said, not just about me, but in general, the term "doing too much," DTMing, they were DTM.
Yeah, I feel like you do too much, Robbie. I agree. I agree with your daughter. I agree with your daughter.
Okay, smarty pants. But my point is, did you feel like they were doing too much on the podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I still want to check it out. I want to see
Yeah, you should. You should. Yeah.
what they think. So okay, I listened to this new podcast I've never heard of. It's called The Side Hustle Show. Let me make sure that that's the
Ooh, sounds
right
interesting.
name.
I
What I'm
love
listening to.
podcasts like that.
Yes, The Side Hustle Show. And it is really interesting. So essentially, they're just talking about side hustles, all kinds of side hustles that you can do, things that have worked for people, what they've done, how they started it from the beginning. They don't go into the details, but they go into enough to where you can get a good understanding of like if you want to try to start a side hustle that's similar, is that something that you would want to do? Like it gives you
Hmm.
enough information
Okay.
to decide whether or not that's something you want to add to whatever it is you're doing on a daily basis in terms of how to make money. And I really enjoy it. I think I'm going to continue to listen to it. I'm going to try to fold it into my podcast listening
Hmm.
schedule, but I listen to so much. It's just like a lot.
And who's
Um,
the host? Is it have
the
they
host
successfully
is
done a side hustle? Or
Nick Loper. I believe he has. I mean, well, obviously he has a podcast, so I think he's
oh,
making
right.
money from that, right? Um, and I don't know if Yap Media is something that he owns, but it's a part of Yap Media, and there's 16 shows on Yap Media. They all seem to be around entrepreneurship, so I don't know if he is one of those or not. Anyway, my point is that Side Hustle Show thought it was really interesting. They have things like the two that I listened to were there was idea to six-figure side hustle, and that was a couple, married couple, who created a cleaning service business, like a house cleaning service business,
Yeah.
but they don't do the cleaning. So
Yeah.
they essentially are the middlemen. They do all of the scheduling and all of the setup and everything, and they have contractors,
Yeah.
and then they will have customers, and so they bridge the two. So
I've
they
dealt with some companies like that, and let me tell you what happens.
okay.
The cleaners come over,
Mhm.
and if I like them, I say, "Hey, why don't we just work directly with each other? I'll pay you less, and you walk away with all the money. What do you say?" They say, "Okay, shh, let's do it." So that's usually the way it works. But still, I mean, but they retain a lot of people, a lot of clients. You know, these people that own these businesses, and they make a lot of money. But the problem is, they take they take like 75 or 70% of the money from the cleaners. Now that's not fair,
No, no, that not well, that's not this business. It's the reverse. They take
really.
30% and they give the cleaner 70%.
Oh wow, that's not
And
typical.
then they had one too, I think, where they said or yeah. And then I think in the beginning they started with 60-40 split, where they give 60% to the cleaners and then 40% they took when they were building it.
Mm,
But I feel like they probably have built in because they're super successful. They're out in the Dallas area. I
mm,
feel like they've built in for people like you
mm.
because there's
Yeah,
always gonna
there's
be a
a
few.
lot of these businesses make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've done that and they have very high reviews, etcetera. And they've built in technology in terms of you go to a website and you just basically sign up and they have multiple different contractors that they work with. Um so yeah. I mean, the thing about it too is I thought it was interesting, and they've built the business over and over a period of time. They were doing it along with their full time jobs, but now they're just doing that.
Mm,
The husband left, and then the wife actually got laid off. But then they've
mm,
built some other businesses too. They were
mm.
talking about these au pair businesses too for people who do nanny matching. So
Some
they
of these nannies are hot.
so they
You know,
contract
they come
with
in from other countries. They're hot.
Okay, well, they contract with nannies and then they or put them in the house or au pairs or something like that. So there's that. Then I was listening to a travel advisor business. So that was interesting because that seems to be
A
coming
travel
up.
advisor business.
So
What do you
now
mean?
the name, remember travel agents a long time ago?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
remember, like that business like went into the toilet because of everything that you
Yeah.
could do online. Well, it's
Yeah.
coming back now because everything online is so overwhelming,
Oh, interesting.
right? Because you know how you can build things online, a trip, but you don't really know. You're going sight unseen if you've never
Yeah.
been to a place, depending on where
Yeah.
you're going. So they're calling them travel advisors now, and there are these travel advisor agencies that you can
Mhm.
join. Now, some are multi-level marketing, but the woman on the show, she was saying that while that's what they do and while they're out there and it's really make your choice on what you want to do, those are not the things that she would advise people to join. And then there's other travel agencies, or I'm sorry, yeah, travel agencies that she does. Host agencies is what they called. And so
Mhm.
they get a certain percentage. You earn commission based on how much you book. So for every hotel, you get a certain percentage. For every car service, you get a certain percentage. For every plane, for every, all of that stuff, you get a
Mhm.
certain percentage for a whole trip that you book. So, that was
I mean,
pretty
I still
interesting.
think, for if you're doing a family trip to some country that you've never been
Mhm.
to, I think travel agencies are still a great way to go. They just, there's things that you might not learn about, and even, like you said, everything's on the internet. It becomes overwhelming. You don't know, and everyone's really good at marketing, right? So everyone's saying they're
Yeah.
the best, they're the best.
Mhm.
And many times, if you go to a qualified travel agent or a travel consultant, as you were calling it, they have the inside scoop on what's good and what's not.
Exactly, and that's what she was talking about, which I thought was pretty interesting. The other thing is that, they were saying, "Well, AI can just put together a whole, itinerary," and she's like, "Yeah, that's true, but AI is not gonna know that I have a guy named, Jose who's on the ground in Colombia who I know he's safe and he will be my private driver that other people have used." AI
That's so
is
true.
because
So true.
Jose is not gonna have a website
So
or
true.
and this is I was like, "That's a perfect example." And then also too, she was just talking about how, there's certain places, um, that you can be an expert in. Like, if you let's say if you were a New York expert, right? You've gone to New York so much or you know a lot about and you know the places that that aren't going to be the quote unquote tourist places, but you're still
Mm,
gonna get that experience, and AI might not necessarily know that. I mean, you could
mm.
write prompts, but then there's no testing. So I thought that was interesting, and I know we're gonna talk about AI, so I just, I'm not gonna go into that because I wanted to talk about that too, but I thought that was a really cool, side hustle. So I'm gonna
Mm.
continue to listen to this. I think it's really interesting and, but actually helpful because I do feel like more and more people are feeling the need that they need to have a side hustle along with the work that they're doing.
I'm going to listen to it as well.
Mhm.
It sounds very interesting.
Especially with tariffs going up. So let's talk about tariffs for a second because we're gonna transition a little bit to tariffs
You
and
want to
baby
go
Brazil
there?
for a minute. I do, because I'm a little concerned. So I've gone to, the store World Market. Have you been to World Market?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so you can go to World Market and get like different types of foods, etc. And you can also
yeah,
too get like outdoor furniture that's not that
yeah,
expensive, right? But
yeah.
it looks like some of the more expensive stuff
It
that
looks like a Pier 1 kind of furniture. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, or or like it's a little bit lower than Pier 1, right? And Pier 1, they close a lot of their stores. But then there's some things too that are similar or people might say dupes of other higher end furniture that's outdoor, right? I was in World Market literally yesterday and I saw this chair, a chair. I'm not talking about an outdoor couch that is like an L shape. I'm talking about a chair that
Okay.
one booty can go into. Okay.
One booty. All right.
$239 at World Market
Mm.
for an outdoor chair. And I was like, wait a minute, this is tariff prices. And then I saw this other chair that was literally like, it looked, I don't know, bamboo-ish, kind of woody, woven chair, but it was
Uh-huh.
cheap. It was like a faux woven. And at
Okay.
any other point, I looked at that chair and I said, okay, I know that when I would have bought this out of here, this would have been a $60 or $70 chair,
Hmm.
but it was going for $140.
Wow.
And I literally went to the front of the store and they were selling a chair that did not look exactly like the $140 chair, but very, very close on sale because they were getting rid of it because it was old inventory
Mm.
for $69. And I
Hmm.
said, this is real life tariff stuff going down. Like I
Yeah.
real like
You
I
know,
it was a trip to me because
are
we
you
know.
surprised? I don't
No,
understand.
I'm not surprised, but I'm making a point that it's
The
one thing
president's a
for you to
fucking idiot?
theory.
Yes.
No, 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 no. Okay, you're gonna go there. It's one thing when you hear this and you talk about it and you see it and it's all on social media, it's flooding you. And if you're looking at social media, etc., and you hear it on the news or whatever you listen to, it's another thing when you literally are not paying attention to all this stuff and you walk into your store that you usually buy something and you literally see that it's 2 or 3x more than it is. And I
Hmm.
think that this is where it's going to get real, where this is 100% going to affect people on a daily basis, where they can literally see how it's going to impact them. Like,
Yeah.
right, like it's there, like there's no disputing it. And I saw it
Well,
in another
well,
place, huh?
so when you say there's no disputing it, here's the thing. Now, you have got a government that is denying that prices are rising. And I have some friends that are hardcore Trump supporters, and they are refusing to accept the fact that tariffs are affecting anything. In fact, they're saying that Trump has won. He has won the tariff war. Prices have gone down. Everything's cheaper. They are literally denying the facts. So it's amazing how it's just the power that this guy has over people's minds is just I can't understand it. It's shocking.
Okay, so
I
I'm going
mean,
to play devil's advocate here for your friends.
yeah.
I think that if they were saying this about 2 weeks ago, even 3 weeks ago, even last week, that
Try
potentially,
yesterday.
okay, could potentially be true because when I was at World Market and I asked the guy because I was just looking at the numbers and I was like, wait a minute, this has really changed. He said, you know what? They literally came in 3 days ago and we had a meeting and they told us they were coming in and they were going to change all of the price tags on everything in the store.
Hmm.
So my point is that this is slowly being rolled out and it depends on
Hmm.
the store that you're in and it depends on
Hmm.
things. So I think that what's going to happen, like, and this is the time when people are going to start to see this over the summer, and this because this is the time the stuff's coming off the ships. This is the time where people have to like, this is the new inventory
Hmm.
that everybody was talking about before when they were saying it's going to go up, it's going to do this, and nobody was seeing that because you were still
Hmm.
going in the store and you're still paying the same prices because the new inventory hadn't gone on the shelves yet.
Hmm.
Well, now it's starting to go on the shelves. So it's going to be interesting to see how this slowly starts. It's not going to show up right away, is my point. It's going to
Hmm.
slowly start rolling itself out. So it also too depends on what you're buying. Again, I was in World Market, right? I was looking at um, outdoor furniture. If you're not shopping for outdoor furniture, then you may not see it.
Yeah.
I was in the store and I was looking at the eggs. The eggs prices didn't look that bad. But I know that they purposely tried to pull the egg prices down. So there's
Hmm.
some things I just think that if we pay attention, we will see things are going to definitely start being more expensive. Even I was in freaking gas station store the other day buying when I bought these dang um gummy cluster things. And I was like, "Wait a minute, this is how much?"
Hmm.
And so I just as a again, I think that certain
And
certain areas are gonna be more affected than others. So that's my own thing. The other thing I
and
wanted to say was the big beautiful bill. So did you hear that? Do you know of this organization called Job Corps?
no, what's that?
Okay, so on Fox News, Job
Just
Corps.
1 second. So one thing I wanted to chime in there is that it's not only the tariffs that one friend in particular of mine refuses to acknowledge any kind of harm that Trump said. Everything is good, no matter what. Everything is winning, winning, winning. Okay, and
But
regarding the
maybe it is
tariffs,
to that person. Maybe it is to him. And maybe it
no, it's
always
not.
will
It's
be.
not. He just there are a few principles that Trump holds, and because of those few principles, which are not good policy, which are not good human decency principles, which I won't get into right now, but because he supports those, he will back Trump till the death and pretend that everything he's doing is winning. And let's keep in mind that a lot of the tariffs he's rolled back on because taco, right? He's chickened out. So uh, the effects of the tariffs are not going to be as horrific as we thought. Thank goodness. Thank goodness he chickened out. But that is not you shooting it up 300% and then bringing it down 150% is not winning. We're still losing.
Well, that's my point
So
about what I saw in World Market. But my other point is, I mean, I'm just not, I'm not gonna get on this show and bash Trump. That's not what I'm gonna do. I want to
come
talk
on,
about what's
Robbie.
gonna really
Okay.
that I'm gonna
Okay.
let you do that because that's what you like to do. What I am gonna do is talk about how this is gonna affect people on a daily basis because I think that that's what's most important. Is how this is gonna affect everyday people who are just trying to make it out there,
Yeah.
working, doing their thing, and what they're gonna see. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm seeing. Um, and with regard to, your friend, there's always gonna be people like that, right?
Yeah.
There's always gonna be people like that, and that's what it is. The other thing is, I think that that's probably let's just stop. There's more we can talk about. I wanna the thing I was
You had
gonna
another
bring
point
out
you wanted to make.
there was, but I want to actually see it play out more. Because you know how with these things change and then they go back and
Yeah.
forth so I wanna see how this plays out more before I bring it up. So I'm
Okay.
not going to bring it up until maybe next week or the week after,
All right. Fair enough.
because there
Fair
could be
enough.
some changes. Okay. The other thing we were gonna talk about what were we gonna talk about? Oh, let's talk about AI and then we can talk about you know what. Okay, so
You know
you
what?
know what? All right. So AI. I guess the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was the fact that there were a few things that have come out just in general about AI. So one was in this thing I was looking at, they were talking about how um they there was a post that I saw actually on LinkedIn, and it was a curated post of 16. This Listen to this though. This is what I thought was so interesting. 16 different AI strategy playbooks. So you don't have to create them. 16 different strategy roadmaps on how to implement AI in your organization. So I thought that was interesting
Okay.
because there's 16 different ones. Anyway, okay. All
Interesting.
right. So there's that part, which I thought was crazy. Then there's this new thing called the AI Zombiecorns. So what is the
Can you wait? The AI zombie corns?
Zombiecorns?
What?
I was
Please,
like,
please
what
explain.
is that? Okay, so obviously this person, yes, yeah, okay, it was on CNBC. They call it the rise of the zombie corn. So what is a zombie corn? So a zombie corn is essentially, it's like according to CNBC, over 30 AI startups are now unicorns, but insiders warn they may be drifting into zombie corn territory. So, what does a zombie corn um,
Enlighten me, Robbie.
deter, deserve? So, it's $1 billion valuation, zero revenue,
Oh, that sounds very San Francisco.
right? And no clear path to market. So, essentially, what
Yep,
they said,
sounds very San Francisco.
VCs dumped
Silicon Valley.
20, this is what's so crazy. Like they're cutting all this stuff and then this VC's dumped $24 billion into AI startups in Q1 alone. But behind the flashy demos and Gen AI hype, many are facing three things: lack of enterprise adoption, weak product market fit, and burn rates outpacing traction, which basically
Mhm.
means high valuations, no revenue, zero
Mhm.
dollars, and no clear path to market. Okay, so there
What?
is an article on it. I will put it in our podcast if you're interested in reading it, but I thought it was really crazy. I have not heard my boys, Josh and friends on the compound. I have not heard them, and Mike, haven't heard them talk about Zombiecorns. Maybe they have, and I
Where do you
missed
see
it.
it that every time
But
there's a tech breakthrough in Silicon Valley, people just want to throw money at everything? Why?
mhm,
It doesn't matter what. It's just, they don't care about anything.
I know it's just my whole thing is the people that get this money and they just blow through it and they know
Viability? Yeah, who
it's
cares?
not
Just throw
real.
money at it.
I know. No, I'm just saying, but they get it. The people who are able to secure the bag, to secure
Yeah,
this money,
yeah,
I
yeah.
would like to secure some of this $24 billion. I'm not even gonna lie. But I know they wouldn't
Start,
give it to
start
me
an
and
AI
you.
company.
They're not giving it to me and you for our AI podcast. But but yes, isn't that crazy? Zombie corn. It's a dang hashtag too.
Amazing.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about on the AI front. Oh, there was one more thing. This is kind of AI, but it's more social media. So there is a young lady who is she's currently at Harvard. I know that that is, right now kind of controversial, but she's a student. So let's just remember she's a student. She's not involved in this. So
Yeah.
she was raised in Silicon Valley and she came up with something that she said is a 5-step method to help people get off social media and become less attached to their smartphones. And
Oh,
she's
that's
calling
good.
it abstinence.
Abstinence.
Abstinence, not
Oh,
abstinence.
abstinence.
App,
I
A-P-P.
mean, you know what? That's clever. I like it.
I
I
thought it was
like
too. I
it.
thought it was too. That's why I wanted to bring it up. And she says that she's 24. She graduated from Harvard. She grew up in Silicon Valley. And she realized that in an early age, she was really kind of addicted to social media and her phone. And she has a website called the Abstinence website. I'll put that in on our podcast notes too, going back to having our references. We kind of you know, we've been traveling, that's been kind of off, but we're back at it. And so, and she's aiming it towards Gen Z and Gen Alpha because,
Yeah,
they
most
are
needed.
always on
Most
their
needed.
phones. Yes, yes. They're very addicted. So I thought that was really interesting. I'll have to check out her website, see what it says, but it's nice to see. So
So, what are the 5 tips?
let's see. Did she put them? Is this
You
here?
you can't just tease us like that. You gotta tell us what are the five
Oh, okay,
tips.
okay, okay. So abstinence 5-step method can be summed up in just as many words, 5 words: decrease, deactivate, delete, downgrade, and depart.
Okay.
So you
So
have to go
is it like a
to
weaning process, like alcohol, or what's going on?
I think you should, go to the website and see what's
Okay.
happening. Her
All right,
5D, she's
listeners,
calling it the
let's go to the
5D
website.
method. Decreases your usage incrementally by deactivating your social media one by one, which automatically deletes your apps in 30 days, later allowing you to
Yeah.
downgrade your phone and finally depart from the digital world.
How do you feel? Do you feel that you're addicted to looking at your phone all,
I do
more
think
than
I think I look at it more than I want to. I
Uh,
think I look at it less than I used to.
mm.
The problem is I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I am on my phone a lot because
So,
I'm
but
yeah.
that's use that, you're making use of it. That doesn't sound like it's an addiction, right?
Yes, I have stopped doom scrolling though. The whole like you can get to that whole
Yeah,
scrolling thing.
yeah,
I was a scroller where I would be on it scrolling and I'm like, "Oh my god, I've been on here for 35 minutes
yeah.
doing nothing."
It's crazy. Yeah.
So, I have
You-
stopped that, but sometimes I'm on it looking for something. So I try to remind myself that I'm focused looking for something and then I'll get off of it. It's easy to get caught up.
Yeah.
So I think I'm
You-
getting better, but I would like to get even better. How about you?
Okay. Okay. So you're not really an addict, but you want to improve. You still want to improve, so you're less. You're doing some less scrolling and
Yes. How
making better
about
use
you?
of your time.
How about you? You think
Um,
you're
I
addicted?
no, I'm not addicted, but so I definitely scroll when I'm doing other things. So
Mhm.
when I have a hand and an eye free, I will do it, but I'm not sitting there and doing not just on my phone uselessly scrolling by itself. I'll always be doing it while I'm doing something else.
Okay. I
But not all the time. Like I can function without it. My buddy actually he was kind of annoying me because um, I went on a trip with him recently, and he cannot sit and eat a meal without pulling out his phone and scrolling through his phone. And I'm
okay,
thinking,
so
I'm
that's what
right
you were gonna
here with you. We're on a trip, the two of us.
well, see, that's a
Put your
lot.
phone away
So we can
and
have a
talk to me.
conversation. Yeah. So
I'm
I've
calling you
noticed
out, buddy. I know you're listening. I love you, but stop doing that. Okay.
so I see a lot of people do that when they're by themselves. And I feel like it goes to kind of what we were talking about in this last episode when we were talking about the AI companionship thing. Um, I have stopped doing that. I noticed in the past that when I would be if I would sit someplace by myself doing something or eating someplace, I might pull my phone out and look at it. But I don't do that anymore. I just sit
Mm-hmm.
there and I just eat because I need to be okay with sitting
Yeah.
being by myself looking around. And then when I found I was doing that, what I was seeing is all these people on their phones with bad
Mm-hmm.
posture and
Yeah.
bumps in their necks. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to have, that bump in your neck that everybody has from bending over that in that position that you shouldn't bend over because you're looking at
Yeah.
your phone so much. So I try not to do that. I have noticed though that people are not doing it as much. I really do think there's going to be more of a trend towards, again, interacting with other people.
If I'm standing in a line somewhere, I'm
Mhm.
definitely pulling out my phone because I feel like the reason why I do is not because I'm addicted. It's because I feel like I'm wasting my time. My personal time is being wasted, and I need to somehow make use of my valuable time by doing something that will be stimulating my mind. Right. So
Exactly, and that's a problem in my mind because before we never did that. We just
yeah.
stood in line,
Right.
or we
Right.
talked to the person who was behind us and like, "Damn, this line is really taking long."
Well,
Blah, 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 blah. You
I
like
mean,
you
Robbie, you know
what?
me. I absolutely hate doing that.
I know you hate people, but my point is that
When I do, it's a total fake, and I pretend I'm laughing with them and I'm having a great time chatting with them in line. But inside my head, I'm thinking, God, please end this misery. I can't deal with it.
okay, but even still, that's interaction with someone. My point is that in the past, we were all paying attention to each other,
Yeah,
right? Even if we didn't like each other.
yeah,
I mean, and we were comfortable enough to be able to just stand there and be without feeling the need to distract ourselves. Because what
yeah.
you just laid out is that you need to distract yourself from
No, no,
standing
no. I don't need to distract myself. I do it because I want to be able to tell myself that I'm doing something productive with my time.
and you know that that's not productive.
Depends. It really depends. I might if I'm doom scrolling, then yes, it's not productive. I agree. If I am writing some messages back to people, or I'm doing something on my email or doing some work on my phone, then it is productive, right? So it depends.
But
Many
that's
times
the
I
other thing
am.
too. We don't always have to be productive.
This is true. You
So
know what I'm a sucker for?
what?
I'm a big. You know where I get stuck when I get. It's the clips with animals. Like showing different species loving each other, and
Oh my
hanging out with each
god.
other and
Okay.
taking care
All
of
right,
each
all right, all
other.
right, all right, all right, all right. Let's go
Yeah,
into
I'm a sucker for that. I love that stuff.
let's go into the last portion of the show,
Oh,
which,
really?
ladies and
Hold on.
gentlemen, we will be talking about probably on a consistent basis, and this is
One sec. One
namely
sec.
That's right, everybody. We will be talking about the Diddy trial. That's right. Until it's done. All right. So this
No
week,
money, no problem.
oh man. First, I'm tired of the AI generated pictures. I really want them to release a real picture of what he looks like right now. Like I need to
Well,
see what he looks
why does no one have any pictures of him walking? Oh,
I
because he was
know
in jail. It
people
goes straight to
do.
jail, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I know somebody's gotta take a snapshot. Somebody's gotta do
But
something.
I think because they're probably taking him through an underground tunnel through the to the car, right? So that's probably why no one can get a shot of him.
I guess so. I mean, dang. Anyway, I really because those drawings are driving me crazy. Okay, so did you hear this past week? There was a lot of different assistants that got up there, right? Talking about
Yeah.
working for him. So there was the woman named Capricorn Clark. Love her name. She used to
Mhm.
work for Suge Knight, and she was talking about how you know she was cool with Diddy, and then things changed, and then he said one time he might have to kill her because she knew Sig Knight. Then there was other time where
Mhm.
he showed up to her house with a gun, and that's why she was forced to go in the car to Kid Cudi's house. It
Okay.
was like at 5 in the morning, and he was like, "What the fuck is this? Why is she with him or whatever?" Then, um,
And that's where
she
he
actually
unwrapped Kid Cudi's children's Christmas presents, right?
yes, he went to the house and he unwrapped them, but didn't do anything. Anyway, whatever.
Fucking guy.
We don't know if it was his children's or if it was Cassie's. We don't know. But there was just some crazy stuff. You just go and you unwrap the gifts and just keep them. Anyway, whatever. He was trying to be diabolical. Okay, so
Okay.
my point is that it was stupid though. Okay, so she was talking about that. And she talked about how like she got brought into a abandoned warehouse and was forced to take a lie detector test because they were saying that she stole some of his jewelry and that if she didn't pass, they were going to throw her in the East River. I mean, it was like some real mob stuff. Okay, so there was
Mhm.
her. Okay, and then so then they cross-examined her, but the defense was not good at cross-examining her because they were saying, "Well, didn't you do these things for him?" And you wrote this thing about how much he was a mentor towards you, and you made this birthday card for him, and you did all this stuff. And she said,
Right.
"This was in the 2000s. This was before Me Too. This was the way that I had to make a living. I have an autistic child, which she does." She was
Mhm.
like, "I had to do what I had to do." And
Yeah.
then she's like, then they said, "Well, you say that you couldn't get work, that he was blackballing you, and you couldn't go work." And she's like, "Yeah." And then they were like, "Well, wait a minute. Didn't he pay you off? And here's the letter. He wrote you a letter in 2024." And they showed her the letter. She's like, "This is not the letter from 2024. This is the letter from 2011 when he paid me off." They
Mhm.
didn't know that he had paid her off. The
Mm.
defense didn't. So anyway, so that was just messed up. Then there was a hairdresser on there. But oh, I will say this about Capricorn Clark. You would like her because she was like Cassie was totally she did not like Cassie, and she said she was untalented, and that she didn't really do what she needed to do. Anyway, so there was that part. The other part was there was a hairdresser who was Cassie's hairdresser, and again, I guess he got in a fight with Diddy because Diddy was trying to beat up Cassie, and he tried to stop him, and that was not a good thing. Then there was another assistant who supposedly was friends with all of them, with friends with Diddy and friends with Cassie. and she saw, him throw her up against a wall and throw her up against some stuff. Like she saw a lot of the beating, but
Wasn't
evidently
there?
too.
Was she the one that saw him hitting her head against the corner of a bed and almost cracking it open or something like that?
Yes, that was the one. Mia. That's what she went by,
Right,
Mia.
right.
But he
Yeah.
evidently raped Mia too. So Mia said she had
Right.
never said anything about this, that he had raped her multiple times, that
Hmm.
sometimes she would just have to just stand next to him. She could never leave if she wanted to on her own accord.
Hmm.
She also said that
But at the same time, she was posting wonderful things about about him and putting, writing
and
happy
she
birthday
also
and
said the
putting a big.
same thing. She said the same thing. What was I supposed to do during that time? He was the person that I worked for. He I didn't This was my only way to make money. A lot of these people who worked for him, they didn't have the capacity to go to do something else. This was their only way of income. They
Yeah,
came from hard backgrounds. Even
yeah,
though they looked a certain way, that
yeah,
look was based upon them earning money and doing things
yeah,
around
yeah,
him, right?
yeah.
So it was like they were showing that
Now,
he set up these he hired on purpose these broken,
I was
vulnerable
just going to
people
ask you that. Do
that
you think
he
it's all by design that he hired people of no means or anything for
Yes.
that purpose of being able to control them and doing whatever he
Yes.
wanted to them?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
And that's
do.
that's common behavior with abusers, right? So that's,
Exactly.
they look for the
Exactly.
broken people, the weak, they look for
Yes.
the people
Yes.
that don't have the yeah, yeah.
Yes. So the crazy part is all these people are testifying to how they got him drugs, how they did all these things for him, how they witnessed this stuff. But then there's this okay, so this is the other thing. So on CNN, um, what's her name? I forget her name. Anyway, she has a show and she's been talking about the Diddy trial every day on the weekdays. And she's a lawyer. She had somebody on there who is still supporting Diddy when he's free. And he's in there all the time. First of all, he came on the show with this sweatshirt that said Puff, free Puff, and then he has a hat that said Puff on it, right? So, and then he has sunglasses on. I'm like, you're on drugs. Why are you coming on TV with sunglasses on to say how much you support him and that you don't think that he did all of this stuff? And you
Mm,
look like you're a drug addict. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like, come on and
yeah,
look people in the eye so people
right,
can have some trust in you. Don't come on trying to look like a cool rapper and stuff because
right.
yeah, and it was just like that was annoying to me. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that this is what he said. He was like, "Yeah, he has domestic violence issues. Yeah, those are bad things. He does drugs. He has sex, but that's not what all that other stuff. That's not true." I'm like, they just testified he was kidnapping people, holding people in abandoned warehouses, telling them they're gonna be dumped to the river, showing up with guns, going into people's houses, unwrapping gifts, locking dogs and things, um, telling the people to get drugs. Like 304 people are like, I had to get them drugs, and I had to get them drugs, and I had to get the medical kit, and I had to, and you sit up here saying, well, no, yeah, he's a drug addict and he's a beater, but that's not what
Just
he's
wait.
on trial
How,
for.
how on earth does Sean Combs have time in the day to do all of this crazy shit? Like, where does he find the time?
Well, that's the thing. I think
Does he not
because he
sleep?
had so many people no, because he was on drugs all the time. I think because he had so many people around him, right? And the people who worked for him, they said that the HR people would say the main job is to protect him, to protect Mr.
Mm,
Collins, to protect him at all costs. And the other part is, they're telling these stories of what happened, but they're telling the instances of what they experienced. Of those instances happened over years. So they weren't necessarily happening every hour of every day.
yeah.
So I would imagine that, yeah, he was working. He was doing what he has to do. But then he also had these times where he was a monster
Hmm.
and they would show up. They may not necessarily show up. And that might be another reason why people kept working for him, right? And this is another thing of the abuse thing. You walk on eggshells because you're hoping that if things are good, then the monster doesn't come out. But the
Hmm.
monster always comes out. You just never know when the fuck the monster's gonna come out, right?
Yeah.
So I think that these instances would happen over years, maybe not every single time all the time, but they would happen. And if he was on drugs and people were getting him his drugs, they would get him the drugs, right? But they would probably have enough drugs to last him for a period of time. He would
Oh,
end
sure.
and then he would
I'm
have
sure he's
somebody else to
stockpiled.
get him. So maybe one person would get it, once a week, another person get it another week, and especially if he was
Oh, I'm
having
I'm sure he had
Percocet and all that other
stockpiled.
stuff. Yeah.
He
Hmm.
had stockpiled in each of his locations where he'd be at. They'd be
Yeah.
traveling with him at all times if he was going on a trip. I'm sure there would never be a time where there was not drugs near his presence at right at at his beck and call.
Yes. I wanna know, though, this is my thing. I wanna know if they are gonna get that Christina woman on the stand. So he had this
Who's on?
one assistant who was like his right hand. This woman, she was his chief of staff or something like that. Her name was Christina something. She's nowhere to be found right now. She has her own attorney. I don't know if they're gonna bring her to the stand. She knows everything because she was the one running all of these other people. She was
Mm,
like the underboss. If you would have like call this a mob organization, it
okay.
was like her, it was like Diddy and her. Did everything.
Okay.
So I don't know if she's gonna testify. If she testifies, I feel like he's done because she knows everything. And so they said though, if he does get convicted on racketeering or this, they will take away all his money. Now here's the other thing. I don't know if you saw this week. They asked the president, Donald Trump,
Oh
if
boy.
he would pardon Diddy. They
Hmm.
asked him if he would pardon Diddy. He said, well, I haven't heard from him in years. We used to be really close, and I think that kind of went down because of, the political issues. But, I'd be open to looking at the cases because if the facts aren't the
Wow.
facts, you
What
never
a
know.
piece of
He
shit.
did not say no. He did
What
not
a piece of
say
shit.
no.
He's such a celebrity whore.
So if he could literally pardon Diddy from all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like even if Diddy got pardoned, he needs to go away and live someplace else because no one will do business with him. No one will do business with him in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like they would be like, nope. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like there might be some people, but not the majority of people like who have
Yeah.
real
Yeah. It'll
power
be
and
outcast.
influence.
Broadly,
No.
yeah, it'll be outcast, largely speaking. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. So yeah, so that's our Diddy update for the week. It's part of our new series. Um, music, please. No, I'm just kidding.
see, you like it.
I did like that part. Yeah, I thought it was appropriate. You're gonna
Well,
have
let
to
me ask you
music.
before we
Uh-huh.
go, just one
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Now,
We are at 52
in
minutes.
my youthful days, listening to, all of, Puff Daddy's artists and listen to Puff Daddy, listening to, Biggie, and, Puff Daddy was, he would jump in and he'd always participate in all those songs, right? And he always
Like
used to get
just
shit for
said,
that too, right?
always on the radio, always in the
Yeah.
video. Go on, yeah.
Yeah, and he gets shit for that too. Like, why are you trying to, jump in your artist's songs, right? But
Yeah.
I actually liked it.
Hmm.
Now, my question to you is, are you going to boycott listening to all of these songs? Like all he was
I
in
think
every
it's
single Biggie song,
impossible.
right?
No, I think it's impossible because if you look at the library and
Yeah,
the influence that Sean Combs had on music, particularly black R&B music
yeah,
in
huge.
the late 90s and early 2000s and even mid 2000s, it's impossible. It
Yeah,
literally is impossible. You'd have to stop listening to Mary J. Blige.
yeah.
You have to
Now,
stop listening
would
to,
you? So you
I mean,
can't
I don't
you
think
can't
you can.
broadly boycott all the songs
No,
that he was involved with and all the artists he's
no.
involved with, but would you boycott specifically the songs that he sang in or he rapped in?
I mean, I like Biggie. Who does
Yeah,
not like
yeah,
Notorious Big is one of the most
yeah,
prolific, talented
yeah.
rapper, MC, whatever you wanna say. Sorry for people who really know the right words on this. of, a certain period of time, right? There's Tupac, Biggie, and Jay-Z. That's what people talk about, right?
Yeah,
Those are the
yeah,
ones. He's in all Biggie songs. So what are
yeah.
you gonna do? Not listen to Biggie songs because he's in
Right,
them?
right.
I mean, I think it's really different from R. Kelly. Because I think you're kind of going down that road because people started boycotting R. Kelly and then, they don't even play his songs anymore. And they used to always
Yeah.
play all his
I
songs.
mean, yeah, R. Kelly is avoidable. That's
R.
cool.
Kelly is avoidable.
He's not
I
as woven in as
He's
not
not
nearly
as
as.
woven in. Exactly. I mean, there's so many songs that he had a hand in,
Yeah,
either in terms of producing it
yeah.
or putting the artist
Somehow,
on there. Somewhat. So you can't. There's songs that we probably don't even know that
yeah,
he had a part of. So I feel
yeah.
like that's almost impossible. Yeah. All right. So on that note, I think we're gonna go. Um,
By the way, about I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or something, I went to a Bad Boy reunion concert in Oakland, and it was fantastic, man. It was so good, so good.
See, there you go. All right, everybody. So this is the end of this week's Miscellaneous Candor. Thank you for listening. Please follow, like, and add any comments. Steven, say
Well, my
goodbye.
friends,
Oh,
another one down. It is I, Stephen Kennedy. Oh man, oh, Stephen with a PH, Kennedy. You see what you've done to me, Robbie. You made me conscious. I'm screwing it up now. It's
there was.
Stephen with a PH, Kennedy, board certified atheist at your service.
I love how you mess up
Till
and then
next,
you want to blame me. Bye, everybody.
till next time.